I'm just looking for that.
Welcome to Del Marvelous Americana. I'm your host, Billy Earl Amos. This weekly program aims to examine the voices, the sounds, and the personalities of those people whose labor of love is music and the arts. Whether it's a local favorite or a rising regional act, we'll spend some time with them and their music here on WSDL 90.7 FM, streaming on delmarvapublicmedia.org. And you can also find us on YouTube channel and on PAC14 in Salisbury. Del Marvelous Americana is brought to you by the Avalon Foundation, which is truly one of the crown jewels of the Eastern Shore and one of the premier venues to experience live music. Because, as we all know, a life without live music just ain't hardly worth it. Here on Del Marvelous Americana, thanks for tuning in. Chris English is our guest today, and a big shout out to Tom Taylor over at PAC14. Chris, who did you listen to as a young man that really blew your hair back, no pun intended?
As far as let's see, AM radio at the time, there was some really weird stuff, like the Ballad of the Green Beret and Elvis saying "Don't mess with the U.S. mail." Okay, but all of a sudden the Rolling Stones would come on, and it would perk me up. Just to say, I mean, that caught my attention. My brother was 8 years older than I, and he'd gone to college down in Richmond, and he brought home, folk music was happening at the time, and he brought home, well, Bob Dylan, but Sonny Boy Williamson, and this guy named Jesse Fuller. He was titled The Lone Cat because he was a one-man band. That really got me. I was like, this guy is cool. And so he was one of the first songs I ever, soups to nuts, learned from Jesse Fuller. Then moving on, again, the Stones and where are they getting this stuff? So eventually that would lead me into Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters. When I was in college, I had a friend who early on got into the Allman Brothers, and but after I heard their live album, Live at the Fillmore, it just jaw dropping. It's 25 years old. It's like, that I got obsessed with that, I have to say, for a while. Then we moved to New York City and Manhattan, and I was in a band there, and they were more of the, say, moody blues background, Beatles background, harmonies.
Okay.
We wrote a lot of songs, like 60. But I was much more into the blues at that time. Before in college, I'd found at Record Runner the first LP that came out of Robert Johnson, King of the Delta Blues. I was in basically a club by myself at the time. Nobody listened to that. And I could sparingly listen to it with other people around. It was, not what there was so much good music, for one, in the early 70s. I mean, between jazz and all kinds of meshing of folk music and jazz and country music that was good. So much good music. But this early stuff was, I caught on real quick that this is where everything came from. So I was on a search, but without the internet and on a budget of record buying, I really didn't have a huge background, but that Robert Johnson, and I would keep buying stuff like that to learn from. Yeah, eventually moving to New York, I heard John Hammond on the radio, on a public radio, and I was like, man, you can do this all by yourself. He was the one, Robert Johnson was already doing it, but this was now. Yeah, at the time, this was the present, and John Hammond just blew the doors off it. I was like, man, his delivery. I ended up meeting him. Really nice fella. At any rate, he was a big inspiration. And of course, all these other elements, I gave you a bunch of links to, but thinking about it, then I was asked to teach a blues course. I started that in 2004, still doing it. That really made me bear down on what I sensed as a musician to really validate what came first. And of course, the very early stuff was never recorded.
Right.
People who taught Charlie Patton never got documented. But that blues course really opened my eyes to how quickly recordings would homogenize, what was already like learned from word of mouth, like listening to somebody in your local region. And then when the records came out, you could hear somebody, that you would never meet. Eventually, the folk interest in those old records in the mid 50s, early 60s really became a benchmark for new music, if that makes sense. The stuff that
It does.
from oral tradition and put on record. Once it was on record, it was like this was a performance. And these guys, I mean, before recordings, you had to make your own music, so the musicianship was pretty good. Families played together, and you had to create this for yourself. I think I got off topic there.
No, you're doing fine. What took you to New York originally?
I'm sorry?
What took you to New York originally?
Well, went to art school in Syracuse, and my roommate came from Brooklyn. And so that was somebody you knew out of millions. We were real close, and my wife lived in that area. We decided we'd move to Manhattan. I said, I don't want to live in any of the boroughs. I want to live well, this is a bad way to put it, but in the middle.
Yeah.
So we were on 6th Avenue, 30th Street,
Okay.
right by Madison Square Garden. You could look up and see the Empire State Building. It was pretty cool. We had a loft that was handy, and we made it livable.
Yeah, I know the neighborhood. I used to live on West Side up at 72nd Street.
Yeah.
So we're looking at Cigarette Blues, Eddie Du Bois, and Scratching My Tattoo. Tell me about Scratching My Tattoo. That's just one of my favorites.
Well, it involved good friends, my kitchen table, where a lot of music happens, and bourbon.
Yeah, every car needs some fuel, doesn't it?
My friend, she complained that her tattoo was itching. It was itching, and she kept time to come scratch her tattoo. I found it funny. So yeah, I wrote a song right then, but I think I had to rewrite it. Who knows? Those things come and go. That's the beauty of music, is that you either hit the note or you didn't. But I kept the topic and filled it out. There you go.
I remember in the early 2000s when I was living in Texas, My brother had a record or a CD that I was unfamiliar with, but I must admit changed my life and changed my viewpoint on music. And it was the recorded works of Robert Johnson in that little hotel in Deep Elm in Dallas, Texas, the 29 songs. I was amazed at the construction, the writing, and certainly his guitar playing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Everything was just musical and I would call it artistically there. You know, you can have different elements, just like in a painting, that attract you. But if it has all the artistic elements, and also tells a story, doesn't have to, but that's one more element that makes it interesting, you know, or an embellishment, I would say. Same thing goes with music. Yeah, Robert really hit the note. Oh yeah, yeah.
I guess it was an amazing piece of karma or serendipity that he happened to meet this guy. They happened to record those songs, and years later, you know, a lot of the popular music that we listen to, certainly from the Stones, you know, emanates from that structure that he originally concretized. I don't think that he made it up. I think he had influences. He listened to other people, but
Exactly.
I just found it seminal.
He was influenced by records that had come out, and there's no doubt about that. You can trace most of his work back to Petey Wheatstraw, Kokomo Arnold, but then again, he was also at the feet of Son House.
Mm-hmm.
So he had it all as far as information to process. I've read that he kept a journal to get his lyrics just how he wanted. Never seen it, but I read that.
Well, that'd be a gem to get hold of, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, Traveling Man, Cape Charles Distillery Blues, and My Little Man. Let's tee these up and shoot them off.
Let me get on my horse. What was that stuff in that bottle anyway? Down the road I go with my hat in my hand, baby. You know I'm a traveling man. I travel around more than night and day. Come on here, baby. Drive my blues away. Yeah. I'm leaving this morning, I can't stand still, baby. You know I can't get my fill. Neither night or day. Come over here, baby. Drive my blues away. I love you, baby, with all my might. I love you tonight, baby. I love you tonight. And I might never come, so come on, baby, listen to my song. Yeah. You see, I'm blowing around like the dust in the wind, baby. You know I'll be back again. I'll be back again. Listen what I say. Come over here, baby. Drive my blues away. Oh yeah, baby. You know what I mean. Well, I'm leaving this morning, I can't stand still, darling. You know I can't get my fill. Neither night or day. Come over here, baby, drive my blues away. Oh, yeah. Here she come, Lordy, Lordy, Lordy. You know what it's like when you see them tight little sweater, the fishnet stocking. Woo, it's right, boys. I'ma do you right, I'ma do you wrong, baby. That'll be another song. It's another song, just listen to what I said. Come over here, baby, drive my blues away. I'm leaving this morning, my hat in my hand. Baby, you know I'm a traveling man. Traveling around both night and day. Come over here, baby, drive my blues away, Lord, Lord. Yeah. Drive my blues away. That's a whole true story. I went down to Cape Charles Distillery. I walked right up to the bar. I said, boy, I'm mighty thirsty. We sure has traveled far. Hey there, Mr. Bartender. Give me one bourbon, one rye, and one beer. Yeah, man. Here's your bourbon and rye, sir, but we don't serve no beer here. No beer here, no beer here, we don't serve no beer here. Well, I believe it's mighty strange now. You don't serve no beer. He just pointed up the road a little piece. Said, man, there's a brewery about a mile from here. Went down Cape Charles Distillery. What'll it be? The bartender asked. I said, just give me that there bottle, boys, and you can keep the glass. Down to Cape Charles Distillery, I sat down in a great big chair, took a sip of that there bourbon whiskey, and my feet are flying up in the air. Up in the air, up in the air, my feet are flying up in the air. Yeah. Oh, now, so that's my story. Hey, now that's my song. I went down to Cape Charles Distillery, and I stayed there all day long. Have a little heart, have a little hand, have the will to be as happy as a clam. Have a spirit free, blowing in the wind. Have the will to be, you be my little man. The night you were born, the snow fell like lace. We came up on your name, it meant God's grace. Well, that was long ago. How could you understand? Take how you go, you be my little man. You're tearing around the house, morning, noon, and night. When it's time for bed, you always wanna fight. Sometimes you made me tired, but you also made me strong. Well, come sit beside me, watch the river roll along. Hey, have a little heart, have a little hand, have the will to be as happy as a clam. Have a spirit free, blowing in the wind. Have the will to be, you be my little man. Life goes on around us. Day to day, everything will change. The words might come between us, but my love remains the same. Got your mama's eyes, got your daddy's hands. You got yourself a ticket to the promised land. Now you're big and tall, let me shake your hand. Well, always will recall you be my little man.
Okay, we are back with Chris English, Del Marvelous Americana. I'm your host, Billy Earl. We're in 90.7 in Ocean City, Maryland. We are NPR. Tell me about Traveling Man. That's one of the best cuts on this.
Really? Okay.
I think so. Well, I like it when you're solo. I love it when you're with the band, but when you do your solo thing, I just find it magical.
Oh, thanks. Again, John Hammond and Robert Johnson. It's all before me, and I just try to tap into that. I had a friend tell me that I sound like Son House, and I was like, and then he said later, a friend, a really good guitar player, musician, told me I sound like Blind Willie Johnson, and I was like, I don't know who that is. Well, Blind Willie Johnson really only recorded that we know of spirituals and godly music, and it was off my radar. I respected this musician very much, and I just immediately went and purchased his complete collection. I put it on the stereo, maybe a little too loud, and I actually had to step back. It was like, whoa, that hair on the back of my head rose up. I was like, my wife came down the stairs. She says, "Is that you?" And I'm like, No, it's Blind Willie Johnson.
And he's in our bathroom.
Lot to learn from him. Okay, so Traveling Man. It just it comes from those solo players. I didn't really I can't really recall my inspiration for that. There's other songs like that. I didn't really copy someone else's, but they have that theme, I'll call it.
Okay.
There was some inspiration, but I should probably keep that private.
Okay. How about My Little Man?
When my first son was born, that song started, and I gave him that night. Snow was falling, everything was fine, and that's when the song started. I think I rewrote it until the time he was driving, to tell you the truth. And I went to record it, and I nailed it. And the very professional, my mentor in music, was recording me, and he didn't push the button.
Oh no!
We tried it. We tried it 6 or 7 times, and it just fell apart. I'd done it. That was it. That first shot was it. So to get it on record, I had to. This was done through Jim Smith, Muddy Hold Records, and he is Paul Reed Smith's brother. And I rented a motel room up by Paul's factory up in Graysonville. And we towed it in like thousands of dollars worth of recording equipment and guitars. And I asked him, could I have a quiet room in the back, first floor, please? And I think somebody was hooting and hollering about a basketball game, but it all worked out. And that's where I got the tracking for that one. Like, you wouldn't believe how many times I've tried to play that song just so, and you get to, when you're solo, nothing else covers it up, and so you can get to the last, bar, the last 4 measures, and think, oh, I got this one. I got it.
I'm just looking for.
This has been Del Marvelous Americana here on WSDL 90.7 FM and streaming at delmarvapublicmedia.org. We produce this show at Delmarva Public Media Salisbury University Studio, and we get production help from Angela Semig and Brian Russo, who is our managing director. Remember, you can find this program on the YouTube channel, on PAC14, on our website, and make sure and visit the show page at delmarvapublicmedia.org. Special thanks to the Avalon Foundation for sponsoring this program, and if you're looking for a tip, take it from your old pal Billy Earl and go see a live show at this incredible venue on Dover Street in historic Easton, Maryland. And of course, special thanks to my guest today. Make sure and check out their music and/or art and everything they do. I'm Billy Earl, and thanks for listening to Del Marvelous Americana. And if you remember one thing from today, just remember that a life without music and art just ain't hardly worth it.